Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jason and you should know by now that I am your watch guy today. Today I'm reviewing a micro brand on Kickstarter. Now this one is fully funded. They've just gotten over their £30,000 target. These are priced at $399. They will be $599 at retail. You will have seen them already. You will have definitely seen the promotions for them. They're very interesting looking pieces. They're inspired by nature and built to last. That is the tagline, in fact. This is the Biotic Formicidae. I think that's how you say it. I'm really sorry if it's not. This one actually only has 16 hours from now to the end of their campaign on Kickstarter. So it will go through to 2:35 p.m.-ish, 2:30 p.m., something like that. If you want to get onto it quick. I'm going to release this video earlier in the morning than usual to try and give you a chance to get one of those pieces. I always advise that you pick it up on the early bird deal because obviously you want to get the best deal possible. Now, I don't get to keep this one and I am not paid for any of my reviews, including this one. So bear that in mind throughout the review. I do have to send this on to another reviewer. With all of the formalities out of the way, let me turn this camera around and let me show you this very interesting looking piece. So guys, this is Biotic Formicidae. I hope I've said that right. Formicidae. It's a very unusual looking piece and honestly is one of the most attractive dials that I've actually seen on a microbrand piece. The finishing on this watch is absolutely fantastic. The casing is fantastic. However, I didn't exactly get along with it as well as I wanted to. And I will get into that later on in the review. But firstly, let me talk to you about this watch. So as far as I am aware, this is their first launch. Let me just neaten up this bezel because it will drive me absolutely crazy. So we have an inner rotating compass bezel. It has some really unique features to it, some of which I will get onto later on. It is now live on Kickstarter. I do believe that this is their first release. On the early bird pricing, it is $399. Retail price is more towards the $599 price. Now, obviously, that is a big jump. So if you are interested in these, I would advise you to get onto the Kickstarter and get on there early so you can pick up the best type of deal. It is available in a couple of other color options too. Check out the page below in the description to see those. Let's talk about the diameter of the piece before we go any further. It is 39.7 millimeters here to here. However, as you can see, it is a dual crown operated watch. And from crown to crown, we have a 46.1 millimeter distance. And that is something to bear in mind for later on in the wearability. It is a very, very nice 11.7 millimeters thick, very wearable on wrist. It is 46.6 millimeters lug to lug, and the lugs are 20 millimeters wide. Now, if we look at it on a flat surface, just on paper, the 39.7 millimeter diameter paired with that 46.6 lug to lug is a very wearable watch. It is packed with the Miyota 9000 series 9015 movement. That's a high beat Japanese movement. Miyota are part of the Citizen group. They are actually really quality movements. I don't get along with the 8215 movement very famously. However, these 9 series movements are absolutely fantastic. This is a fully stainless steel piece. It has a mixture of brushed and almost sandblasted effects around the casing. The dimples to the side, which are also mirrored on the opposing side, really do give this watch another level of character for me. The lugs are brushed linearly. The fixed bezel is a sandblasted effect and the sides are also sandblasted. Now over onto this side we have the compass crown. That is a screw down crown. We have good levels of grip to that too, and the compass is engraved onto the tip of the crown there. Over to the other side, obviously we have the handset crown, and that is again screw down crown, and that operates this 3 piece handset here and the date window down at 6 o'clock. As we take a quick look to the case back, it is quite an interesting case back here. That is a very cartoonized ant. I don't believe that they read maps in real life, but it does look pretty good on the case back there. That does tie in with the inspiration to this piece. Now, the inspiration that I have been given from our friend at Biotic, Ryan, is that this is inspired by the army ant, by the ingenuity and the characteristics of a ant. Personally, I don't quite follow it. I don't know if it's something that I'm missing, but I don't follow the whole ant theme. I mean, fantastic story, great case back to go along with it. However, I just don't quite get it with the rest of the watch, unfortunately. This watch is packed with a sapphire crystal, and it does have good levels of AR coating. That is on the underside of the crystal, which is something that I am grateful for, because we do have it on the outer side. It can be prone to scratching, and that does really ruin the effect of the watch over a longer period of time. It is a 200-meter water resistance piece. We do have 2 screw down crowns and a screw down case back. Now, don't let that thin profile fool you. This watch can resist a good amount of water, and I would be quite confident with taking it into the water myself. We also have drilled lugs on this casing, matched up with some quick release spring bars down there. Makes for much easier changing of the bracelet on this piece. However, I do really like this bracelet. It's very comfortable. As we move into the dial itself, there is a lot going on here, and it is very intricate in some ways, however so simple in others. It gives so many levels of depth. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I really do love the design and dial on this piece, the inner dial especially, surrounded by that outer ring for the compass and the minute track. I think that looks absolutely fantastic. We have a sunburst effect on the center on that brown dial. As we look to the outer edge of that dial where it starts to recess into the casing, we have an almost fume style effect to the outer edge of that as it fades into a darker black. Down at 6 o'clock, we have a date window which is color matched not only to the dial itself but also to the indices, which is really nice to see. The indices indent on the outer dial, which is again another level of depth on this watch. Very well thought out by the creators of this piece. On the outer edge of that dial, we do have a minute track with the relative indices at the hour marks. Now, they don't take away very much from the dial itself or the design. They are not hidden away, however well placed enough to not take away from the design. The outer ring is this compass function. As you can see there, we have a bi-directional inner rotating bezel on this piece, and it does act as a compass, which is actually quite functional for a lot of people. I always find it something quite adventurous to have a compass on your watch, and it does sort of fit in with that theme of the ant. I'm pretty sure that ants in those little narrow tunnels have a very good sense of direction. That's probably why it doesn't need that map on the case back. Up at the 12 o'clock, we have the Biotic print. I think it's very simple and again doesn't take away from the design at all. I'm quite pleased with that logo. And down at the 6 o'clock, just above the date, we have the Formicidae. Yeah, that's what I decided on. Formicidae cursive print, which is a very stylistic design and really does actually fit this watch very well. The handset is very nicely brushed on the outer edge, on that stainless steel outer edge, which is really giving a nice effect once it hits the light. I hope you can see that there. I will include some closer shots so you can see that better. The handset does have a sensor of Lume. That is an aged effect Lume, and that follows through to the rest of the dial. We will get to that Lume shot very shortly. Do bear in mind that this is a prototype though, because we do expect the Lume shots to get better in a production piece. The second hand completing this handset reaches straight to the compass edge, very well fitted to this piece with that arrow head pointer, again Lume center. Now let me get the lights out and show you this Lume shot on this one. Okay, so we have a mixture of BGW9 and C3 Lume on this one. You can see the pale blue on the inner sections of that compass on the northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest. The lesser important markings on there. I know some sort of adventurer is going to be in the comments section, tell me how important those markings are, but you know what I'm getting at. The indices also are quite well loomed. The handset does have a slight patchiness to it. Not enough for me to really mark it down too much, but it would be nice to see a little bit better of a finish on that Lume in the production piece. The blue Lume will fade a lot quicker than the green. That is natural. However, I do quite like the Lume signature on this one. I think it's quite interesting. So as we move away from the head of the watch and we start to look at the bracelet, I really do like this bracelet. Now there is some markings to it, but you do need to remember this has been through a good few reviews before it has reached myself. And we have an almost H-Link, almost Nautilus style bracelet on this one. Someone's going to slate me for that in the comments, I can see it coming. Female N-links. These H-links are very well finished. We have a brushing on the actual H itself, and the in-between pieces of these links are sandblasted, which is the same mixture that we see on the casing. And honestly, this sort of contrast through the bracelet is very attractive for me. We have the Biotic print again on the clasp. This is quite a substantial clasp. We don't have any levels of micro adjust. However, we do have a really nice on-the-fly adjustment for this one. And that is a premium feature for myself. You don't see that on many watches. So it is nice to see it on a microbrand piece. It does add a little bit of chunk to the clasp itself, double pushers here. However, I think it's well worth it. Milled clasp on this piece, as you would expect. The links on here are screw links, again as you would expect at this pricing. Now let me get it on wrist and show you how it looks on my 6.2 inch wrists, and then we'll start talking about the things I didn't quite get on with this watch. So here we have it on wrist, and it's quite the nice looking piece, isn't it? It does look very nice on wrist. Let me just give it a little wipe over. Obviously I have smaller wrists and I am left-handed, and therefore I wear it on my right wrist. That doesn't really matter as much on this one as it is a dual crown either side. We will get to that in a second. Now it is very good looking on wrist, and honestly I think this casing is fantastic aside from one excruciatingly obvious thing. Now let me just start this section by telling you I absolutely love the design of this watch. By that I mean the dial is absolutely gorgeous. The bracelet is fantastic. I even kind of grew to like the little ant story. I don't buy into it too much, but I do quite like it. However, this did have one massive failure for me, and that was this dual crown system. Unfortunately, I just don't think it works. Now, the compass crown I think will be improved in production. However, actually getting it to sit in place when screwing this piece back in is a bloody nightmare. So there we are, north, screwing it back in there. You can see that it has become misaligned already. As I say, that was quite the annoyance for myself, because I am a little bit OCD when it comes to my bezels. When I'm not using them, they need to be in you know, the right place, and this one just kind of wasn't. And to add to that, this crown made it almost impossible for me to wear this watch. And I know that other reviewers have had this one in for review, worn it, really enjoyed it. I've seen a lot of reviews on it. I've seen a lot of people really praise this watch and how different it is and how imaginative the casing is. However, this crown left a massive indent on my hand. I wear my watches quite loose around the wrist, and therefore it does sit onto my hand. I'll show you exactly where it sits. So Yeah, as you can see there. I wore it for one day in work, and obviously after that I tried to wear it more as a social type of piece and a occasional wear watch, because I just couldn't do an entire day like this. I took it off halfway through the day in work, and I don't mean that to really slate this design, because I like the idea. I do, and they've tried to do something completely different, and I appreciate that. Just for me, it wasn't comfortable enough for an everyday wear, and it probably put me off wearing the watch as much as I really wanted to. And the real downside for me, the real upsetting part of that, is that I love this dial. I think this is one of the most attractive dials that I've seen in a microband piece this year. In fact, in a long time, actually, I think that it's absolutely beautiful, especially how they've carried off that level of depth in the dial. It's just a shame, and this sounds really silly, but it's just a shame that it's in this case for me. Otherwise, it would have been an absolute winner. And I know that I'm not going to have the same opinion as everyone else, and I know a lot of the people will buy into this and really enjoy this piece as not an everyday wear. I can't see anyone wearing it as an everyday piece, but I think that a lot of people will buy into this as a statement piece, as a occasional wear, because it is a very good looking piece. So that's the Formicidae from Biotic. Now, it is a very interesting looking piece. It just didn't really get along with the way that I wear watches. Let's put it that way. I am pretty sure that I've seen other reviews where reviewers actually said that it wasn't that much of an issue with the dual crown. But for me, when I wear them loose, it digs into my hand. It's not an everyday wear. Definitely not something that I can wear while I am moving about and active. Now, that's not to say that this isn't a beautiful looking watch. That dial is absolutely fantastic on so many levels, and levels is the apt word, because look at the depth in it. If you're interested in this one, $399 is the early bird price. That will go up. I have linked them in the description. Check them out there. Thank you to Ryan at Biotic for sending this one in. I really do appreciate him letting me have a look at this one and showing it to you guys. Thanks for watching this one, guys. Please remember to subscribe to the channel. It really does help, and I hope to see you in the next one.